Hey everybody, this is Steve at Thousand Year Homes. So one of the things about building a home is if your site is a long distance site like mine is about 100 miles away, depending on how I get there and if I have to stop at a lumber yard or something like that. It can be a little even more than 100 miles, and the traffic is terrible in Central Texas. When you first buy a piece of property, you're all excited about that. But the logistics of a long-term build site is long distance is just as complex as a long distance relationship. And so one of the first things I had to do is decide how am I getting myself, while working a full-time job, all the way from here, clear out to the job site and to be able to rapid build. And and of course, my project scope is rather large. One, I have a restorative farming that I'm doing, and then I want to build a really nice homestead out of um, ICF forms, and then a premium home. But in between all of that, I can't get the ICF forms, right? There's all of these rebar problems, there's all of these delivery problems, there's all of these problems with that. So I'm scaling back and I'm building a workshop that will get me from point A to point B. But I don't want that to just to be thrown together workshop. I want that to be a premium home. And these are the kind of decisions that anybody will have to have. And it is compounded if there's a long distance between you and the job site. To get things done, you have to be there. And I think even if you have contractors, that you still need to make a daily presentation to the site and make sure everybody's moving forward. And if the contractors have run into something, just to keep them not from getting pulled off to somebody else, defend your ground a little bit. If they ask you whether or not you're willing to sacrifice yourself for somebody else, tell them you would prefer not, right? That you want to be set forward. But for me, it's pretty much a one-man show, and my friends helping me collaboratively around. But the biggest thing I needed to resolve right away was the logistics of making it all the way out there 100 miles. So I did the same logical thing anybody would do. I went and did an interview of the RV parks here, and I went to, and I actually went to go buy an RV, and I showed up. I had a credit card, 0% interest with a $20,000 limit. I thought, oh, I'll just go buy an RV and then park it out on the property. So I show up in good faith with that little credit card to buy the RV, and they say I can't buy a trailer with a credit card. And I said, I most certainly can. I guarantee you I can. And they said, no, they don't accept full payments of trailers with a credit card. And because what people have done in the past is buy these trailers on a credit card and tow them out to who knows where, right? 1,000 miles away to a whole nother state, and then report the card and lost and or the transaction fraudulent. And then nobody's going to go 1,000 miles and try to repo a trailer parked in some backwoods lot, right? So aggravating. So they wanted to, finance me for their RV, and I didn't want a trailer loan. I didn't want yet more credit piled into my life. I had a solution. So, in frustration, I left. And then you run through the things. Well, like, oh, I could get a tent, or I could live on site, or I can do. My final decision, no matter what, is I have to get from this little apartment that you see me in out to on site as rapidly as possible. I have to physically be on site. And one of the best decisions I made is everything that I do is going to be moved forward. I'm not going to buy like the fifth wheel or anything that distracts me from actual building. Everything that I get and put on that property will be a part of that property. And I mean, you could even include hanging a hammock in a tree, right, that I'll use. Uh, and I think this is really wise. But during the construction, I did a couple of good things, and that was stay out there in the area at some bed and breakfast. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one of them, Katie House. So nice in Smithville. I can highly recommend it. And then I'll do a comparative of that to Lost Pines Resort, which was 3 times the cost. And of course, I can't stay a weekend and have it cost $1,000. That's ridiculous. But I did do that. I did stay there. There's some other bed and breakfasts out in that area. But anyway, the rest of this video is about how to manage long-term, long-distance build site and how to get yourself out there rapidly, and just going through my process, and also to make some recommendations for certainly for the Katie house, which was really good. But if you have a build site that's way far away, you need to get yourself out there as rapidly as possible. And while an RV didn't work for me, it could certainly work for you. And if I could have sold it when I was done. But in this particular case, it just didn't align for me. And I think ultimately the decisions that I made, while a little difficult, I think that they're the best financial decisions, and they're also forcing me on a rapid velocity and keeping me focused and not get distracted on other options that are not move forward. So, and I think that's really wise. You want to get out on the property, and everything you do to the property, you want it to be moved forward. And so the rest of the video will be that decision-making process that I used. Hey, good morning. This is Steve at 1,000 Years Home. So not everything I do is 1,000 years. So one of the best decisions was renting this little bed and breakfast to hang out in, and this little partner's wise idea. And we get a lot more done that way because I'm just right here. 100-mile drive, you think? 100-mile drive probably to the property. So really long way. But this thing was built in 1909. I understand there's only 50 registered, maybe 70 registered bed and breakfast, full bed and breakfast in Texas, and this is one of them. We had breakfast made by a master chef. Ooh, that was so good yesterday. Today's Sunday. We don't know what we'll get out of life, but this is it. This wasn't built to be a bed and breakfast. This was the servant corners of the doctors. This bed and breakfast is called Katy, Katy, in Smithville, Texas. So if you ever were looking for a good bed and breakfast, come see this one. But little adorable teeny tiny bathroom, little adorable everything, little adorable, look at that big bathtub with a shower. I mean, I'm standing in the middle, and I'm going to guess, 15 by 12 maybe? Yeah. Not very big. Comfy beds. Let me go ahead and do the camera, and then we'll do the outside. And that's awesome too. So the whole house was built in, that's the main house, built in 1909. And our little server, this is called the tower. And there's one there, then that was for the railroad men. And this one was the servant ones. And downstairs is the laundry room, so you have a lot of privacy. Well, Smithville, when I was a young man, was kind of a boarded up town, but it's coming alive. It has good restaurants, good everything, so. But yeah, we're heading out continue to work on the farm. Wednesday I have my containers showing up, so I need to mow a spot, set the plot stakes, put the pavers down. Going to be quite a bit of work. We did a lot yesterday removing mesquite. Mesquite lasts for forever, y'all, and I've got a little clip of me trying to get that out. But it represented probably an hour and a half of me messing around with a tractor trying to pull mesquite out of the ground. In the future, I'll cut them down, I'll tell you that much. So, anyway, thank you for joining. This little bed and breakfast is just a great thing. I don't know if it'll last 1,000 years, this little bed and breakfast, but so far, 111 years old, so. In comparison, the Katy house, 111 years, we also stayed at Lost Pines, which was built in the 90s, so 20 years. Really nice. It's built like it would be a modern city, so it's not just a resort, but it was 3 times the cost. So beautiful drive in. It's this 3-mile driveway down into this resort out there in Bastrop County, but it is a lovely place. So we did enjoy that. It's something I wanted to invest in every time. My daughter used to work there years ago. She came out and visited me one day, and this is right along the Colorado. And this is at Lost Pines Resort. So she stopped and visited. Leah and I had a good time there. It was a restful visit, but
Really enjoyed it. Again, it's cold, so in Texas, that's something that we're considering. Now, the dining room was the food was reasonably priced and good food, but I took some pictures because of the stained glass windows that they had. I'm going to do the same thing inside of the workshop. So between the two connexes, I'm going to add stained glass of my own. There's all native flowers there, blue bonnets, and the pinwheels before, and so this was a really good design, lantana. Uh, but it was fun to see that. It also gave it a little cloister kind of vibe without being overly religious, but so enjoyable.
So we really enjoyed staying out at the bed and breakfast. So, and of the two, the Katie house was closer to where my property is anyway. But that's a really good transition, right? Either I could have spent a lot of money on a RV or a fifth wheel or something out on the property. And I'm not saying that one. If I was 200 miles away or 300 miles away, and I definitely had no bed and breakfast, that'd be a good idea. But I got good meals. I got warm beds. I didn't have to wash anything. It didn't cost me $20,000 anywhere close to that. Plus, I got some information on the area. Just really good. And I got to say, bed and breakfast or Airbnbs are going to be a lot better than even local hotels. But the resort wasn't bad. So anyway, taking a look at that, or I'm going to continue to utilize those when I need a rest or a break. But the decision to get out on a property is as rapidly as possible. Really sound decision. So the next little bit is to talk about the site prep and getting the Connex out. This is one reason why I decided to get the Connex out as fast as possible because I could believe I could just house myself in that. And then that's an investment in property that's permanent. So the rest of this video is taking a look at the other decisions for living in a long distance build site.
So I've when I sold my house, I got rid of my tent and oh, my little awning. These were mistakes. I should have held on to my tent and my awning. But the deal is, it's cold in Texas, and the pictures from my house that I sold. Um, it doesn't snow very often, once every 10 years. But listen, I could not build a build site from inside of a tent. So down in Port Aransas, in that area, South Padre Island, there's a little coffee shop that I really like, Island Joe's. And uh, it was inspiring for this whole idea of a Connex. So while the RV didn't work out and a tent I had so wrongly sold, but even still staying out on property and being sore and stiff and working would have been difficult. So my idea had changed then to do a Connex, but it does get cold, and Connexes can be chilly too. Hey everybody, this is Steve at Thousand Year Homes. We made it out to the property today. The whole deal was to move the tractor. We did that. I got the shredder down. What else did we get? Oh, we moved the trailer, and I'm setting up all the supplies on the trailer, the logging equipment, electrical equipment. I might make that my base station if I decide to put a canopy over the top of it. I could buy a canopy and strap that on. Yeah. And that might be a good idea. Then I don't have to build anything extra. I'm trying not to build extra things. Everything I build, I want it to be moved forward. And building a spare shack or construction yard might not fit that thing. So we've been calling this spot the ferry yard. So let me rotate my camera around. Alrighty. So look, we've got our little lunch supplies. I hope that's focusing. I can't tell. It's a little too clear. And then this is the ferry lot. We're making do with a really good lunch. I feel like we've been successful today. Not ready to build, but we're heading that way. I'm ready to start logging next weekend.
So one of the difficulties on this whole project is the distance. It's about 100 mile drive or so. So it's several hours to get to it. But and I've got a little car, so I've borrowed a couple of friends' trucks and moved out some ladders and some equipment that I'll need to build out there. I finished a walkthrough survey looking for a build site, and I think I have a good place for me to build. So I'm looking forward to that. So being able to pack up my cameras
and take everything out requires power, which I don't have out there. So I'm using my little portable jackery to power my batteries as I come and go and do all the work there. The little apartment is a good place stop over from me, from a large house to a smaller apartment, because it's approximately the size of the house that I'm going to workshop, rather, that I'm going to be building, which is 1,600 square feet. I'm going to be building those out of connexes. So this particular apartment is 1,400 square feet, and it's nice. It's well lit. But one of the adjustments that I've done is, like my bedroom, I went ahead and moved my bed and my dresser to reflect what an 8-foot connex would look like. And it'll actually go out farther than this little tiny bedroom, which is, probably 12 by 12 is what this is. But it'll be 8 by 16 in the connex. So psychologically, I'm making some changes so that I can move into a little smaller place. But indeed, the long drive and moving equipment all the time is difficult, and coming home, taking care of the rabbit. So as soon as I can get out there, which would mean power and water, and for my job, I need to have wireless. I've got to be able to connect to the internet. Is job one for me. There's a lot of reasons why people go off the grid. And, my reasons I'll cover later, but they're not out of paranoia or anything like that. I want a premium off the grid home, and I don't want to live marginally or to sacrifice a whole lot. And doing a long drive is a sacrifice, and carrying two mortgages, a rent on this and then a mortgage, that's stressing. So as soon as I can get out, I want to get out there. So the very first project is rapid build, right? Something that I could put myself in quickly. And I think I've got a good plan for that. I found what I think is a good build site. But the very first thing, construction yard, won't be 1,000-year home, that's for sure. So it'll just give me portable power and portable water, and just enough to get by. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to go out and pick that out today, where I'm going to put a little construction yard, and I'll put a rain catch roof on it. Every 250 feet, 1 inch of rain is about 150 gallons. So I'll put some IDGs underneath it, 300 gallon or so, and try to catch as much rainwater as I can. While I'm here at this apartment, when it rains, it'll be providing me water off site. So when I get there, I can start mixing mud or whatever it is I need to do. But I'm looking forward, and a 1,000-year home is my goal. But to get there from here, I'm going to have to build some temporary shelter. So we'll see.